Okay, that's done. Fold that up. We can take this back down to the yard because we are done cultivating for a day or two. And then the other kids won't be visiting us until weekend of the 25th of September because they're spending what would normally be their next visit with visit date with us. They're going to visit their grandparents instead. So that's fine. We get 3 weekends off, which is awesome. Okay, I'm going to park this up here. Oh, hi dog. And how about some food? There you go. I really don't need to clean that off too well. We'll just do that. Nice, okay. Cultivator, where do I want to put that? We've got the tipper, we've got that. Not sure we're actually going to need this until the sunflower seeds or sunflower field is cultivated. No, the thing where you pull all the stuff off the crop. Harvested. So, don't need to cultivate anything, do need to plant some stuff. Actually, let's go check the truck. And that's 25,000 there, you can sit there. Yeah, she is a gamer, so we're going to have to watch her time on the computer. There will need to be other stuff, whether it's chores or just general helping around. Well, seed radish is on, that's down, let's go. But we have been playing some co-op farming simulator. And she seems to be enjoying that. In fact, I started a farm with the elder boy from the 3 who come visit every few weekends. So I'm going to need to get another steering wheel, I think, because there will be 2 people who want to play Farming Simulator. Coming up. Plus me. Oh, I was planning to go and shut the back door, wasn't I? We'll do that. I will stick that on, and I'll be back in a second. Oh. Where is he going? Dude, let's quit that. So that should alleviate some of the humidity now. And the 18 turkeys are gone. So it's just the hiding rabbits and squirrels out there now. So yeah, as far as the farm's concerned, we are at the frantic time of year where we're going to be putting down the oilseed radish as we harvest each field. And then if we have time before winter and it's grown a bit, I'll be ploughing that up and replanting it with some winter crops. These two fields have just been cereals. So crops we'll be planting in these fields will be spring crops. So this oilseed radish will be down for 6 months. Wow. Of game time. But the other fields, that's the thing, you know, the other fields you harvest them in the fall, and then you want to get the fields oilseed radish and then winter crop as fast as you can. Although in real life I'm not sure that's actually a thing. I mean, obviously putting down a cover crop now will protect the soil as the root system, what's the word for it, matures. But things like that sunflower field, technically I don't have time to plant a cover crop. I'm going to be wanting to put the winter crop in, I think. How many grass harvests can you get in one summer? 1 per field. Typically I've found you can get 1 in, and it all depends on your geo, but you can get 1 in spring, 1 in summer, and 1 late fall. Now the 1 in spring is not going to be 100% growth because the grass doesn't start growing until early spring, so it's a little late starting. But then once you've harvested at late spring, you've got a full season of growth, which you should end up with a 100% grass yield. For a UK style geo, you're probably going to want to do silage either in a clamp or bales for spring and fall, because in spring you have very, very damp mornings, and it's not particularly good drying conditions. So you're basically looking at wet ground. So you need to ted the grass that you're cutting, and then potentially it doesn't have enough time to dry out until the next morning when the ground's going to be wet again. Summer is a great time to make hay because it's warm with good drying conditions. Fall it's possible to make hay, but it's easier to make silage just because of the amount of rain you get on a UK geo. There's just no time to get the ground dried, even if you cut dry grass. Now, the geo I'm playing on Ungertsheim, I can't remember what it is, but I think it's an Eastern German geo. I'm not sure, strictly speaking, as a former country, Eastern Germany, but as far as it being I'm going to cut this straight and then set up GPS, I think. But it's sort of Eastern Europe. And I noticed that for the current year I'm playing, the snow comes in... When does snow come in? Late fall. So I would not get three cuts on that geo because there's no time to get in a full harvest of the grass. Okay, let's line that up there. What is it? That. Drive forwards as straight as you can. Lower that and go. That is a little bit close to the edge, I think. We'll see. And hopefully back to there, that 30 feet. I have no idea. Turn that on. Show lines is on. Okay. Back. That looks a little bit narrower. Okay, let's go. That doesn't seem to be adjusting anything, does it? Well, no. Is that auto width? Okay. This is a 9-meter cedar. 3 nines are about 27 and a bit. And again. Okay, that'll do. That's good enough. We turned it all on, it's all connected. Sorry about that. Okay, we now have GPS set up. So yeah, as I said, it really depends on your geo as to how many cuts of grass you get, but you'll never get more than one per season. So 1 cut in summer, possibly 1 cut in spring, possibly 1 cut in fall, depending on how much. You can always go with the I'm not requiring 100% yield, I just want some, and cut it early in a season. Okay, what do? We lift that up, turn that around, I believe it's Alt X, yes. Okay, been a while since we GPSed anything. A lot of the time I will do it by eyeball judgment. But as fields get bigger, GPS gets a little bit easier. Not that I'm really worried, because yeah, we're doing oilseed radish. It really doesn't use much seed, so it's not significant how much overlap you have on your seeder. If you're doing potatoes, big difference, because potatoes uses an ungodly amount of seed to plant a field. So it's just always best to get it as accurate as possible when you're putting it in the ground. The one crop I don't know anything about is sugar cane, because that's typically not a European crop and it doesn't use seed, so I didn't do any tests with it for how much seed does it take to plant. My findings were the most efficient is oilseed radish. You use about twice as much seed to plant the same area of canola. You use 3 times as much seed as you do oilseed radish to plant soybeans. Come on, lift. Thank you. And I think the next one is things like cotton, wheat, oats and barley all take the same amount of seed. And then stream drop. Okay. Yeah, and then potatoes uses about 20 times as much seed as oilseed radish does, so it's horrible. But yeah, obviously the more seed you need, the more you benefit from accuracy. And my other recommendation is if you're doing a start from scratch and you spend all of your money on equipment and fields, leaving very little left over, the best thing you can do is plant canola. One, you only need 1 header. Oops, that was the wrong button. Go back. And 2, because it's the second most efficient, or it's the most efficient cash crop for seed planting, or for seed usage when planting. You don't need to buy a lot of seed to plant all your fields with canola. And if you wanted to plant wheat, oats or barley, it would take twice as much seed. If you wanted to plant soybeans, it's 50% more seed. So canola is probably your cash-strapped farmer's best bet for the very first crop of the year. But then once you're going, you're going to make a reasonable amount of return on your canola, and then from then onwards, it doesn't matter what you plant, so long as you've got the cash to cover the seed. Canola is not the best value for money return. In fact, the more manpower it takes, it would appear, I think it's Farmer Cop did a test on yields, and basically the best return comes from the likes of potatoes, sugarcane and sugar beets, which are the most labour intensive crops to pull. Then following up with, I think, cotton, and then wheat, barley and oats are very close. You get fewer oats, but you get more value. So I think they're the worst of the three main cereals. Wheat tends to be more valuable than barley. Barley gives you a very slight amount more yield, but not significant. And it's also obviously those three are better if you also factor in selling the straw that you can produce, but that can be a false economy, because if you can't afford a baler and you're playing in seasons, then you're you're wasting money buying a baler, especially if you're only playing 1 year. I made that mistake with the Old Stream Farm. I only played it for a single year, and right at the end of the year I bought a baler so I could bale up all my straw, and selling the straw didn't even cover the cost of the baler. That was a dumb move. But obviously if you're playing multiple years, or you have a baler because you're doing grass and lots of other stuff, then factor in the straw is also a bonus on the wheat, barley and oats. But your worst income comes from soybeans, canola, sunflowers, because they yield high, they yield low, their value is high, but that doesn't make up the difference. From a straight, how long does it take me to harvest soybeans and replant the field? Obviously, wrong button again. Soybeans are the best because they're such a low yield that it doesn't take you long in a harvester to harvest them. You don't have to spend time carting them. So that's my opinion. Or you can play more realistic by Googling the area of the world that your map is based in, and then just plant those fields. So for example, if you're doing the Millennial Farmers map, you're probably going to want to do soybeans and corn, because that's a thing in that area. If you're playing a Scottish map, then possibly barley. Barley is a big crop in Scotland because they distill it to make spirits, and so that's a demand they have. So growing it, you won't have a problem selling it. Now in Farm Sim you won't make as much money growing the barley as you would growing wheat, but you should probably grow barley because it's regionally accurate. Oops. Oh, what did I do? No, don't do that. And turn it on, that's on. And we can lower it, that's lowered. And nice. So yeah, it would seem this area is sheep, and I'm just chopping between cereal crops and sunflowers, sugar beets or canola. I think canola is, from what I remember of my time in England, if you go north and east of London, you will find an abundance of canola fields. Not so much sure of the West Country, which is where we're based here, because I never really travelled much in that area. Also east of London, you tend to see a lot of Holstein cattle. Not so much sheep that I remember. They do have them. Wales is, mountainous and very favourable to sheep. You will see sheep everywhere. You don't see a lot of arable farming because mountains and harvesters don't really get along too well. With our new edition, I elected to play on a Lone Oak farm. I've never played that map. Well, I think I played it a bit with Arthur and crew, but I don't think we really got far with it. Then we went to South Mountain Creamery, and that was just an awesome amount of fun. Oh, we did play, we played Lone Oak with production, and I was moving and getting ready to move and getting settled. I wasn't really in a position to play on that multiplayer. So it's the first time I've really sat down with Lone Oak Farm. It's kind of a good map, and you do start with some awesome starting equipment as a new farmer. What I did was I did a start from new farmer, saved the game, and then started it as multiplayer. And you start off with the big, I think it's the big John Deere harvester, a 7R and the 6M, and then for some silly reason you also get a plough that is too big for the 7R, a cultivator that is way too big for the 7R, and a seeder that the 7R can cope with. So fortunately you start off with fields, there's enough contracts. We did a lot of harvesting on Friday evening, and managed to buy ourselves a second big tractor. But because John Deere 8Rs are so expensive, I ended up with a Class Axion 950, which was big enough for the plough but totally inadequate for the cultivator, so I sold the cultivator as well. As I said, harvesting and contracts on the first 2 hours of play, we saved enough, including the starting amount plus selling the cultivator, to buy a £200,000 or $200,000 tractor. It's the next model up from this one. This one could probably have done, although there are some interesting hills on Lone Oak that could be a struggle. Back up again. There we go. But that farm should work out quite well for us, because it's kind of easy to make money. With the boy, I'm working, the Valley the old farm with old John Deere equipment, because that's also by Black Sheep Modding. That one we're doing okay. I foresee that one to be a little bit more of a struggle than Lone Oak, just because the fields are smaller, the equipment's smaller, and that is a big part of how quickly a farm can grow. I did accidentally start, was it the Campaign of France? And to be frank, those fields are so small. It's very, very difficult to make money. I think I missed a tiny bit there, but we could end up with failure to germinate elsewhere as well, so I'm not fussed about that. I think that's close enough. And then maybe once we get a little bit more established with the kids, I might stream a couple of hours a week of that as well. But it may not end up as a continuous, for want of a better word, story, since we may play at other times that I don't stream. This farm and Ugertsheim will be played to completion on stream. If I do any work outside of stream, it's usually just finishing up something that is kind of getting a little bit tedious. So, for example, our BGA might be empty. We might be able to sell the stuff about now. If not, there is